Yeah, sure.
Welcome, everyone. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I feel like it's been forever since we've had one of these board meetings, but before we get into our business, we've got a special guest here tonight who's running for the commission, Putnam County Commissioners, and it's Dave Furman. I'd like to introduce Dave, and he's going to say a few words, and if anybody in the audience has any questions for Mr. Furman, good time to ask him. Dave?
Thank you, Paul. Try to get where I can see most everybody. As an introduction, I am Dave Furman, running for District 1. Now, the commissioners serve the entire county, but physically, a commissioner has to come from one of the 3 districts. So I don't represent District 1, but I am from District 1, and obviously, I'm more interested in what's going on here than down in the middle and the southern part of the county. I have had 12 years on the county council. For those of you that are a little fuzzy on that, the council is the fiscal control of the county. They have to work in concert with the commissioners to get anything done. The commissioners are the executive. They make the decisions, but they can't do that without the consent, so to speak, of the council to pay for it. So it's kind of a checks and balances. It's not a House and Senate, so to speak. It's the commission and the council. Retired Marine. I was in 21 years. Originally from up northern Indiana, up near Fort Wayne. Married into a family related somewhat to the Blades family.
Well, they were places.
That's right. So my kids went to North Putnam. Have 2 at Purdue right now. And some of the things that I would like to let you know is I want to keep Putnam County a prosperous and good place to live. And that requires a balance in a lot of areas. Heritage Lake is not urban, but it's not farm. And we do have a lot of farm, and both entities have to get along. Some of the people running are more interested in one end or the other. I want to represent everybody. I break down the commissioner's job into 2 basic areas. One is logistics, and the other is quality of life. Logistics, things you can touch and feel. The roads, the bridges, the 911 center, broadband, things like that. Those are things that don't have a lot of personality, but they're very important. Quality of life are things like our first responders, our police, our firemen, our EMTs. Those are all people that need to be in our community and be effective for it to be a good county. Those services from the courthouse are also part of that quality of life. The average person doesn't get to the courthouse very often, and most people don't even want to go there very often. But those offices also need to stay out with good people, and the commissioners, again in concert with the council, make that happen. So, at this point, if anybody has any questions, I don't want to impede on your meeting too much, but I have they printed off some bios here. My phone number is on there. If you want to give me a call. Cell is the 317. This 765 is home phone with an answering machine. Sometimes my cell doesn't work in the hours here. So, any questions I can try to answer?
Dave, I'd have one.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, what you're going to get the most from, or most concerns from the Heritage Lake residents are a lot of our roads. Where do you see that in your realm of agenda to address. We are, from the standpoint, I'll speak for the residents, that, we are a high tax base. I know our taxes don't go for the roads, I don't believe. But, and there are some grants that are being spent, but, we have a lot of traffic out here, and there are some roads that, definitely need attention. Our cul-de-sacs need attention. I guess it's, what I want to say is it's time for a commissioner to accept Heritage Lake as being part of the county and part of the county roads that is their responsibility to take care of. I feel like I've been at Heritage Lake for, I don't know, 25, 27 years. And I've always just felt like, and I think I could speak for a lot, we've just kind of felt like the stepchild, if you will, of the county. I personally don't think that we should have to, people that live in a cul-de-sac should not have to split the difference out of their own pocket to take care of a road, but it has happened. So I would just like to hear from you, where, in your mind, is Heritage Lake on your agenda of thoughts to address our roads?
Well, Heritage Lake is the second largest group of citizens in the county, next to Greencastle. So it is an important area, and it's one that needs attention all the time. You do have some very, very unique challenges for the highway department because of all the cul-de-sacs and turns and high crown roads that, this development was not set up initially by the county. And the county has received it, and it's our responsibility to take care of it. The school bus drivers hate the cul-de-sacs. The snowplow guys hate the cul-de-sacs. Everybody, the only people that like them are the ones that live there because of the lower amount of traffic, and I understand that. We, as the commissioners, if I'm on the commission, there's only one other person that sits at the table at a commissioners meeting, if anybody's been there, and that's the highway department. Because that is the most important day-to-day responsibility that the commissioners have. Law enforcement and first responders are kind of, the sheriff takes care of it, we've got 911 and things like that, but on a day-to-day basis, the roads are the biggest concern. The budget, when it's developed in August, breaks down the county again into 3 basic areas, trying to get the spending to be relatively even, top, middle, and bottom, or north, middle, and south, not bottom. Our county budget is only $28 million. We pay more for insurance for county employees than we have available for road maintenance. And that is a huge, huge problem and a challenge that we tackle every single year on that. I will not promise anything I can't do, but what I will do is say that I will work towards giving everybody an equal look at for those issues that come before the commissioners. Does that satisfy you, more or less? I know. Yeah, I'm going to pave all your roads.
I've got a follow-up to his question.
Yes, sir.
The maximum amount of money that you're allowed to spend on roads annually is determined by who? The Putnam County Council? Are they
The state gives us a levy, that is the.
Who gives you the funds and says this is all you can spend on roads? Who?
Well, the council.
Okay, so would the fact that you were a formal council member, would that be an advantage
I think so.
of you being able to get that funding increased, because you may know more about what's needed than those people that are on there now.
I happen to bring the budget with me. And I can, you know, we can get into the weeds on.
Well, I'm not
on
after
what's where,
that.
But, yes, I was president of the council for 4 years, and every year that I was president, we balanced the budget without any new loans or bonds. That can be done. Now, you say, well, why don't we get a loan for some new roads and paving? You could do that. But if you can live within your means, you have much more autonomy and ability to make quick improvements where it's needed. I understand your roads. If you go up to Russell Township, they love your roads. All right, it's all in relation. But again, as I started, this is the second most populous area in the county, and it requires the attention of the commissioners. Greencastle has its own budget for roads, so they really don't impact the county roads. But does that answer?
Well, I just wanna know who,
The council's the one that-
council, now, if they need to increase the budget, who do they go to? The state rep, or who? Who sets
Well,
the
you
council?
increase the tax rate, and that's voted on by the council.
Okay,
And that's hardly ever a popular thing to do. If you're receiving direct results of that tax increase, you like it. But there's a lot bigger group of people that don't like it, for whatever you're trying to raise money for. But the council's the one that sets the tax rate. They don't set the school rate, that's a school board. But roads, first responders, any of the infrastructure, that comes through the council.
What would happen if the council, is there a possibility, you said that, or you mentioned, and I know that that's a fact, that when you go to raise taxes, it's got to be some sort of referendum, and that referendum is voted by all the people in Putnam County. Now, well, either a referendum or something has to increase
Yes.
to give you a better handle on money for roads per se. Is it a possibility through the council to, for instance, if you were to look for a tax increase and know the number of people that live in Heritage Lake and were to raise our taxes, give us a figure on what that raise would be?
I don't think
Is
the
that a
state-
possibility?
I don't think the state allows us to target a tax rate
That's what
like
I
that.
thought. Okay.
But what you can do, and I know you kind of alluded to it before, does anybody know where Edgelia Drive is?
yeah.
That is a county road. And a few years ago, they wanted their stormwater drains improved as well as paving the roads. They went together with the county on a joint bond just for that project. That's something that you could look at. But it's, again, it's not spread out through the county, it would be just the individual landowners here. It's something that is not done very often, because a lot of it requires upfront money from the landowners. It's not something that you can stretch out forever, like an increase in the tax rate.
Okay, thank you.
See a hand back here? Sir, ma'am.
Why should we be targeted at Heritage Lake for an increase in our property taxes? Do they target the farm owners for their land when they got so many, I've been on the back roads out here, and they have so many beautiful back roads that, has anybody taken a country cruise and seen these roads that are paved, that are absolutely gorgeous to drive on? They're perfectly smooth and they're beautifully paved. Have those people been targeted for their taxes to have their roads paved?
I'm not saying target you, that's just an
Well-
option. The county has a 7-year road plan. Now, it got jumbled up during COVID. But there is a rolling 7-year improvement identified for each road in the county. And sometimes, you know, if you drive on the road on year 1, you're gonna have to wait 6 years till that improvement comes around. So, now that's something that the commissioners do set up with the highway department, and that's for public discussion when the commissioners meet. So,
What's our 7-year improvement for out here? For our
it's not all at
cul-de-sacs?
one,
For our cul-de-sacs.
it'll be sections.
What's our section?
I don't know, it's-
There was a plan that was in place before COVID. There was one. There was an announcement that we had made 5 or 6 years ago when they had talked about this.
Mike Ricketts had come up with a 7-year plan.
The COVID just, it's still there, but we're still recovering from that, but, and I don't know it verbatim, but sections of your roads would be at different times. I think some of the roads are pretty nice right now, but others are not. So, yes, ma'am.
So theoretically, that 7-year plan, does that include repaving the entire county, or fixing the entire county in that 7 years? Is that the purpose of the plan?
Not repaving, but analyzing and bringing up to standard every road in the county.
Okay, because I can say, we have roads out here that have been horrible, potholed for more than 10 years, and some haven't been touched in 15 to 20 years. So I would like to see with our representation, a little more weight put on including, I understand that they view a cul-de-sac as a dead-end street. Well, for us, it's not a dead-end street with one home on the end. We've got 8 homes on this dead-end street. I would like to see more emphasis and weight put on that to include our cul-de-sacs in that 7-year plan.
Yes, sir.
I have a compliment and a criticism. I happen to
That balances out.
I happen to live on the same cul-de-sac as Jim Blades does, and I will compliment the county when it's gotten really bad and we've called the highway department. They've often responded fairly quickly in terms of the stopgap repairs, you know, putting either hot patch or cold patch in occasionally. On the other hand, when we live on a cul-de-sac, it's the only way we have to come and go from our houses. And some of the holes are deep enough that when it's dry, you can usually go around them. If it's wet and they're filled, you have no idea which ones are minor and which ones are monstrous. So I agree that we really need to have something more long-term. And in that 6-year proposal that Rick alluded to, our cul-de-sac didn't even make the list. And I've been there for 15 years and it's never been really repaired except for the stopgap kinds of things, which I do compliment, but it still isn't a problem.
Phil, I may have an answer for that. Were you at the last commissioners meeting?
Yes.
Didn't they discuss having some money that they were gonna put to this year for cul-de-sacs out here?
We still have some leftover money from the American Rescue Plan. Not a lot, but there is some there, and it's been earmarked for projects just like that. Not long-term, not long stretches of pavement, but targeted bad areas.
We have about 500 feet, that's the minefield.
Okay. The highway department does respond to
Yes.
calls,
Yes.
and the more you call, and being polite, please, but you do get on the list, and they do try, you know, a mile of repaving is about $700,000. By the time you scrape, ditch, and do everything. So we don't have money to do as much as we would like to. We never will. And I think this year we've got 62 miles earmarked for either chip and seal or repaving, countywide. And that's broken down 20, more or less.
Dave, thank you very much for coming. You got another question?
Yeah, I got I was just springboarding off of his, but I came prepared with the question.
No.
Okay. Well, hey, 12 years ago, I was in your shoes, and you were in mine. So in Bainbridge. But when I found out you were coming and you were running, and I knew you were president of the Putnam County Council, and I'm interested how you lost that primary. I don't know how you could be an incumbent in Putnam County as a Republican and lose a primary. So I know that's a hard question, but I want to hear what your answer is to that.
Well, I don't know if I appreciate the question.
Okay, well, thank you. That's good.
A couple things. I didn't campaign as hard as I should have, right off the bat. No, but more importantly, I think there's a heck of a lot of Huffmans in this part of the county. And I think that they got out the vote, they went out and made things happen. The primary in Putnam County is essentially the election. If you win the primary as a Republican, you're generally gonna win the general election unless you do something really silly. But the problem is, the primary usually gets less than 20% of the electorate to come out. So the numbers get very, very small, and that means each individual vote gets more and more important. So I didn't campaign as hard as I should have. I was busy with council stuff. Mr. Huffman and his wife did get out there. Kudos to them. I still think I'm a better candidate, but he did win, and he is on the council now. There is going to be a turnover of the council again here. A couple of the current council members are now running. Larry Parker, who's got some health issues, he's been on it for 150 years or so. But
Phil Gick, is he running again?
Who's it? No,
Phil.
Phil is not. And that's going to be a big loss. He's a very technically proficient guy. He's from Greencastle, but he has the county interests at heart. So there's going to be a changeover, and that personality changes, and that you get into, whether to increase tax rates and things, that may change. You don't need to have 7 people agree, you only need 4.
Mhm.
And when that happens, things can change.
So you got beat because you didn't campaign enough. It wasn't that you took the wrong side of an issue, or an issue maybe within
Well,
that. I mean, that's kind of what I'm wanting to know. Because isn't it that you select 3? Don't you get? It's not just one. It was you click. When you're in the primary, you select.
well, no.
For the council, you select 3.
Well, the council has 7 members. 4
Yeah.
are by physical district.
Okay.
3
Oh,
are,
so you lost the
yeah, 3 are
district.
at large.
Okay.
That's what is this year. At large is the entire county. I
got you.
The northern part.
Okay.
It's going to be an issue till election day, but solar farm. That's a big issue. Not necessarily for people in this room, but in Russell Township, there's a lot of discussion about that. We get into tax rates. The one thing that hardly ever anybody brings up is that that is a county-wide tax reduction if that goes through. It does affect people around, but you hardly ever are given an opportunity to reduce taxes across the board. Now, or you could keep taxes the same and increase them the amount that they would be going down. Another thing that happened a few years ago, I was not president, but the wheel tax, when you renew your plates and things, that was implemented at the exact same time as the state income tax went down. So essentially, it was a wash for people in Putnam County. You didn't pay more, but you didn't get the reduction that would have happened. So, is that close enough to a non-answer?
You hit my question good. You answered my concern.
No, I was disappointed that I didn't win, certainly.
It was a shock to me.
And I don't need this job, but I want to do the job. I have my kids here, and I want them to come back here. So I want to make Putnam County as as good as we can, as good as we can be, so.
Thanks, Dave. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Numbers here on my bio, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Announcements, Clear Creek Conservancy. Dwayne, if you'd like to, if you have anything for siltation, be glad while you're up to
Okay.
cover that.
I'd like to hit a little thing on the Conservancy. Our construction is just winding down. We should be in, well, I'll get a report next week from the general contractor, but we should be to the point of running the equipment. The new equipment's all been installed, make sure that everything is working right. There's one thing I'd like to hit on real quick, and most people don't realize it. But when the effluent comes into the sewage treatment plant, we don't sterilize it, but we try to kill any bugs or anything that's coming in with the effluent, because our plant works with bugs, and we want our bugs and not your bugs in the plant. We have used in the past chlorine gas as our sanitation. As you all know, chlorine gas is very toxic, hard to control. The building sits back behind our plant. There's a concrete building. One room of that is strictly for the chlorine gas tanks that are stored in there. If you come across to the dam from the marina and you look up on there, you'll see a new little blue gray new building setting up there. That is an ultraviolet. We're doing away with the chlorine gas and are using our ultraviolet as our means of control. So, you know, you've always got the possibility with chlorine gas, if, you know, a tornado comes through and blows a building down, you've got the possibility of that. As of the 1st of April, that will no longer exist. Our next meeting is the 21st at 10 a.m. Second hat, siltation. Our next meeting is 3/28 at 7 p.m. Shannon should be working right now because he called me 8 days ago, and verified what we wanted, what siltation wanted to do this summer, because he wanted to get started on it. So you should see him out, some probably in the East Fork over here, mainly in the main body of the lake toward the north end. Should be where he should be working with the dredge when he's working for a siltation committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Floyd Township Fire Department.
Frank Yossi, 417 Gettysburg. Your fire department took 23 runs for the month of March, and to date, we are at 62 runs for the year so far.
Thank you.
Out of all the runs we had in March, 90% of them were medical. So,
Thanks for your service, Bob.
you bet.
Neighborhood Watch, we got anything? No?
Yeah, well,
Well, Ken Roselle does.
yeah. Read your agenda. Hey, April says, a huge reminder to please be the eyes and ears of our community, knowing your audience is important. We received a report of a new home in Mill Springs that had some vandalism on 2/28/24. If you have any information about the individual that might be responsible, please reach out to the POA office. Neighborhood Watch meets every third Wednesday of the month. Next meeting will be April 7th at 6 p.m. at Psalms. Please feel free to join us, and everyone is welcome. That vandalism I went over and had taken a look at, it was almost convinced it was probably juveniles. There was 3 forms of graffiti painted on the walls and 3 holes punched in the drywall. I believe the doors were left unlocked, that's how they entered. So if anybody has seen any kids kind of hanging around that area, please, if they have a description, please call me at the office. I'll be glad to address it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. HLCS,
No report.
no report.
Pardon me?
No, this is,
Oh,
sorry, I'm coming to you.
HLCS.
We're ready for you, Donna.
No
Hell
report.
neck. Donna
I'm Donna
McKinley.
McGinley, Mill Springs, 238 Mill Springs. I just want to mention that Easter's coming up, and we have the Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 23rd, and we're really behind in candy donations. So if you could start to get your candy donations in, they have to be real small pieces. We're filling about several thousand of those plastic eggs, so it's a daunting task. And like I said, I'm already out of candy. I filled what we had. So there's not enough like I said, I think I counted maybe 1,000 for 10, and we have 5 bins, so there's a lot of eggs. The other thing is, the Easter egg hunt is Easter, March 31st. And then after that, we have April 27th is the Wine Fest, and there's information about that in the current highlights. And then on May 11th, I wanted to update you on the meet and greet. We are gonna schedule, we're in the process of scheduling a meet and greet at the Activity Center for May 11th. And it will be a chance to meet new people out here, or meet people that you haven't met before. And it's gonna be set up sort of like on a speed dating format, where you'll spend a couple minutes at each table meeting everybody, and then we'll let everybody loose to just socialize for a little bit. And we're working on the flyer now, and that will be in the April highlights. And that's it.
Thanks, Donna.
Rick, would you be kindly to put on your HLCS site requesting candy?
Yes, I'm gonna do that for
Donna,
you.
does that candy come to the office?
Yes.
POA security, Ken?
All right, Ryan's last day was February 27th, so we pretty much had a full month. Admin calls 7, traffic stops 9, domestic disturbance 1 arrest, 5 alarms, 2 animal complaint, 3 medical assist, 4 traffic accidents with property damage only, 2 disturbance, 2 assist in other agencies, 1 trespass, 1 cardiac arrest, 1 fraud, 5 lockouts, 1 theft, 1 suspicious call, and 1 electrical hazard, for a total of 47 calls.
Thanks, Ken. Presentation of agenda, the board, okay? All right, moving on to presentation of minutes. I'd like to take a motion to approve the 12th board minutes, the annual meeting, the executive meeting, and the operations meeting.
Motion to accept?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I guess he's in favor. Okay, unanimous. Moving on. Treasurer's report.
Okay,
Dennis?
all right, we had, for the month of February, total income $138,686. We had total expenses of $91,549 for net income of $47,137. So that brings us year-to-date, total revenue $244,528. Total expenses $181,569 for a total year-to-date income of $62,960. Cash-wise, our short-term cash at the end of February was $419,261. We had total investments of $215,080 for total cash available at the end of February of $634,341. That's it.
Thanks, Dennis. Moving right along to A&E, Dennis?
All right, A&E, projects approved in the last, since the last board meeting, they approved 1 dock, 2 non-waterfront fences, a new lift, 7 new houses, and 3 detached garages.
Thank you, Dennis. Campground, Rick Stevens, you have a report?
Rick Stevens, 95 Victory Hill. We had our selection meeting on Sunday, March the 3rd. We have filled 70 spots. We currently have 5 spots open, and Ken is still in search for his campground manager.
We did interview somebody today and looked pretty favorable. Rick had joined me on the interview, so had a couple other interviews or applications, but unless anything goes wrong, we may offer this couple of the positions. So.
Good news. Okay, Jeff Blade, do you have anything for cleanup?
Sarah had a couple of items that she wanted me to bring up, and so my name's Jeff Blaze, 335 Patriots Landing, and I'm speaking for Chairperson Sarah Lackner, who couldn't make it today. Wednesday, the 13th at 7 p.m., right here in this room, the cleanup committee will have its first meeting of the year, and she's looking for a good meeting and with good participation, and we need more members, okay? So anybody out on, that's watching us from a distance, or anybody in this room, some of you have already been invited to be a part of this. We do need people to become more involved in helping the cleanup committee carry out its tasks through the year. Now, here's the date, on Saturday, May the 11th, and you need to know this because you need to start planning for this. That's when Clean Sweep is. So get your stuff that you don't want to keep and want to get rid of, start gathering that all up. Make plans to drop it off, and we'll be at the maintenance building with dumpsters that's a Saturday, May 11th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, if you have chemicals, you got to get here earlier than that. We'll take the toxic stuff from 8 a.m. to noon, because we have to have it in Greencastle just so we can get rid of it. So wouldn't do you any good to give it to us, and then we got it, so we can get rid of it. So that's that, and if there's no questions, that's all I got.
Toxic, is there anything you won't take?
Okay, there is, we don't take latex paints at all. You can dispose of that yourself. That's the way to do it. Open it up, let it dry out, and then you throw that in the trash. We don't take gasolines, but we take motor oil. Let's see, and the highlights will have guidelines. So I don't know if they're in the March highlights, but April highlights will have everything that you need to know concerning Clean Sweep in May, okay? So it's no different than the years past, but I'm sure I'm leaving something out. But there's, some things we can't take. Right offhand, I can't think of anything other than we won't take gasoline. We won't take, if you got water in the gasoline, we don't have any way to get rid of that. But we'll take motor oil. And all your household chemicals, we'll take those.
Thanks. Government committee, Rick Olson's not here. The only thing I would like to say about the government committee is, I know roads are a big deal out here, and they always have been. And it has been a subject that no one, including your manager and your boards and other people that are involved with the commissioners, have let that go awry. We are working hard to try and get an emphasis. That's why the question was asked tonight of the person running for the council. And, there is a possibility with this extra money that those cul-de-sacs might be on a list pretty soon. Now, it's only a possibility at this point because one of the commissioners brought it up as his favorable idea. Now, the three of them have to vote on that, and they also have the blessing of the engineer from the department. My point here is, Rick Olson he is in that business, and he has been a phenomenal asset to us for the last year or two. And, that's a one-man show, that government committee, and he's done an exceptional job, and I just want the community to know that you're lucky to have him on that committee.
One of the things he did just in the last couple of days, he facilitated or organized the 4 candidates that are running for the council and had them send me bios and photos that you'll see in the highlights next month. And of course, Dave Furman, you met tonight, he'll be one of those. But Rick's always doing something for us. Okay.
Okay, Lake Committee.
Doesn't look like Mary's here, but I know the next meeting is March 27th.
Okay.
That'll be the first of the year.
Clean Water, Phil?
Yeah, Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. I want to flesh out just a little bit more on the report of the annual committee. I mentioned that the windshield surveys that a couple of us do north of the lake and on the inlet streams and their various tributaries have always been pretty positive. But to speak to that a little bit more, I think one thing that we are kind of fortunate at is that most of the farmland upstream of Heritage Lake is used for crops, not livestock. And there's some livestock, but not very much. And I also noticed, and I wish Dave was here to hear me compliment the farmers, I noticed that there are a lot of best practices in use in that farmland. And I'm not an expert in farming at all, but I noticed, for example, buffer zones along where there is drainage and it's not tilled right to the point where fertilizers would more likely get into the drainage and so forth. So I think what I've seen out there is fairly positive. Before the annual meeting, I did a pretty thorough drive through virtually every road that crisscrossed all the tributaries coming in and really saw no significant areas of concern. Obviously, we are going to be the quote, beneficiary of some runoff from those farmlands that are going to come down the stream, which is one of the reasons that we need to be vigilant with lake treatment. I made the comment at the end of last season that I thought last year we did an unusually good job at algae control in the lake, not as good a job at weed treatment. I know there were some coves where power boats could probably run, especially if they backed up occasionally to clear props, but there are places where paddle boats, for example, just couldn't even run without just getting bogged down in weeds. So I would encourage, as we're planning that weed treatment, we might want to be a little bit more on the side of managing the weeds than the algae that we did a good job last year. Also going forward, I want to again put some articles in the highlights, which I'll start here this coming month. Sometimes I think my comments are a little repetitious. I never just reuse an article from last year, but some of the themes are kind of repetitious. But with as many new residents as we have, I still think it's worthwhile to put some of those things in going forward. So that's the next thing on the plan for clean water.
Thanks, Phil. Long-term planning. We do not have a report tonight. Election. Nobody's here from the election committee, but I will read the report. It's a short report to reiterate that the POA board elected results announced at the recent annual meeting. For those of you who did not attend or did not watch, we had 4 candidates vying for 3 positions on the board, of which will serve the normal 3-year term. The top 3 contenders were A.J. Stafford, Nina Stebbins, and Linda McFerrin. All 3 have been added to the board and are here tonight. In addition, we made the announcement that Debbie and Jim Muhlenbein are stepping down as co-chairs of the election committee, but will continue to support the new chair. Mary Petruzzi has graciously accepted the position and will direct election activities whenever we have another election. Thank you, Mary. Okay, manager's report. Ken.
Not only have they funded the bands at the campground tonight, I'd like to thank resident Dale and Tony Johnson, owners of Home Furnishing in Plainfield, for giving us a savings of $4,200 in purchasing new furniture for the activity center. They will be delivering the furniture order on the 25th of this month, so thank you for their continued generosity. A property in Jefferson Valley that has not paid their assessments for about 10 years, along with attorney fees on 2 properties last week, had paid us over $13,000. just prior to them going to the sheriff's sale. This was a victory for the POA. Also, opening day for the marina is fast approaching. The marina opens at 8 a.m. Friday the 15th. All watercraft registration is done at the marina. Requirements of assessments, having a zero balance, proof of ownership and insurance, a watercraft test with a passing score, and lot address on the rear of your watercraft. All of these are required before acquiring a watercraft sticker. A reminder, having your watercraft on the water after April 1st with last year's sticker is a $250 fine and 30 days off the water. To Phil's point, the Aquatic Control will begin their first lake treatment on May 7th and will be servicing the lake every 2 weeks afterwards. In their email to me, did state that they were going to focus on weeds this year. We will also attempt our pontoon is on the water, loaded with buoys and concrete blocks, and we will attempt to have the buoys adjusted and put back into place by the end of March. And finally, I'd like to thank a longtime resident of Heritage Lake, Shannon Lieb. Shannon Lieb has donated his time for many years as part of the election committee, and more importantly, all of his time devoted to the A&E committee, meeting 2 times every month. I've said it before, this place would not be the same without these volunteers. After 38 years of residing at Heritage Lake, Shannon and his wife Sue are moving to Kentucky. We wish them all the best. Thank you, Shannon, for all that you have done for making Heritage Lake a better place. You'll be missed. Thank you.
Can I offer a clarification? Tony and Dale's business is called Hoosier Home Furnishings.
Okay, what is home
You
furnishings?
said home furnishings. You'd find it either way.
Hoosier Home
Hoosier
Furnishings.
Home
It's a Hoosier
Furnishings.
thing. we
So
do
if you're
short.
looking for furniture, that's where you need to go.
He has got what he calls a Heritage Lake discount.
Friends and family discount.
And it's really,
Yeah.
really good.
I
Yes, I agree.
I bought a lot of furniture myself from him, so, very good guy.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, no businesses. That makes sense since we've had so many meetings since January. New business, all right. First on the new business agenda is the property manager and board president, communication level. I brought this up not too long ago to the board in an ops meeting, and we have a, I guess you'd call it a handshake agreement, since Ken became the manager out at Heritage Lake, that the board will go to the president of the board with any problems with our lake manager, and the president of the board will then take that to Ken. And that's the way it's always worked, and that's been a very nice situation. Knowing any of you who have ever been involved in management over the years, it's awful difficult if you have more than one boss. And because it's hard to please one person, let alone 9. And we as a board, we try to emphasize that we meet, we discuss, we learn from each other, and we finally vote, and we all stand behind that vote. And it's kind of the same thing. We stand behind one manager by one person who represents the board. I felt it necessary because in the near future, we will be getting a new manager, and in that near future, that new manager deserves the same situation as the past manager. But moving forward, because I'm leaving too eventually, and there's going to be a new president every year, possibly, I think it needs to be in our bylaws. I think we need to put that in our bylaws and substantiate that as a rule for this board moving forward. Now, at our last ops meeting, one of our board members, Jeff Blades, volunteered to champion this effort, which means he's got to go through everything we have in our bylaws and covenants and rules and regulations and all that kind of stuff, so we don't second guess ourselves, and we put it in the right spot, and we use the right language and so on and so forth, so that once it gets in there, we don't have to change it again. Because if we do put something in the bylaws, we then go to Putnam County and we register it. And so that when a new manager takes over, a new board president takes over, that's gonna be part of our rules and regulations. So what I will ask the board members before you leave tonight, to each take a copy of this. This is a draft of what Jeff put together. It's well done. It's got a lot of, it's very exact. It is more than complete. There are parts of it that probably will be discussed and moved to other areas within our guidance, okay? So these are just things for you to read and digest before you go home tonight. Next on the new business, Heritage Lake Community Foundation, Rick Miller.
Okay, we announced the foundation, of course, multiple times now, so I think it's old news, but one of the agenda items for our first board meeting coming up March 12th is to elect officers for that board. Among the directors, which we have filled all but one now, and we did ask that the Conservancy give us one of their board members to be a board member for the foundation, and we would like the same thing from the POA board. So we're looking for a name from this board who would be willing to sit on the foundation board. So that's what we need right now.
When does the meeting, when is the meeting on the foundation?
The foundation meeting is tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock.
And it will be 6 o'clock each month?
Actually, that's one of the agenda items to establish the meeting frequency and time.
6 o'clock tomorrow is Tuesday. Okay.
Jeff?
Would you refresh my, how many board members totally are on the foundation?
9.
9, okay. Thanks.
It's a bad sign when everybody's looking down. I would be glad to do it, but for matters I do not want to discuss, I'm probably going to be fairly busy in the next few months. I've got some things that have to be taken care of, and I'm not sure I can get to every one of those meetings.
Well, I don't want anyone to be afraid of the position. I think the foundation, because it is new, there's not an unbearable amount of activity or work. I'm even expecting that meeting frequency will be every other month. And so it's light duty work as board positions go. But I just think it's appropriate, since one of the major beneficiaries of the foundation's work will be the POA. So I think it'd be useful to have someone from this board on that board.
If it wouldn't be a conflict, I'd be happy to be on it.
I don't see that as a conflict.
Is that, I mean,
I think it would satisfy the need.
okay,
Can I put you
All right.
down?
Yeah.
Cool.
all right. Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
All this free time on your hands, now that you're retired.
I can only twiddle my thumb so much.
I gotta think of something else I need him to do before he gets involved again.
Judy and I watched a lot of movies.
All right, next on the new business is POA Assistant Manager. This is just an announcement. This is kind of, again, we've already brought this up, but for the board to stay educated on where we are. We've in the last 2 months, I've talked to as we discussed at the last ops meeting, I've talked to 3 recruiting companies. And this, we feel, at least I feel, and I think after talking with the board members, we all feel this is probably going to be one of the most important things we do within the next few years. And that is hire an assistant manager that will be credible and credentialed to take over when Ken leaves down the road. Our idea at this point is to hire an assistant manager to be trained and serve with Ken for a good long period of time, take over his position, and before or after that time, hiring another manager to be an assistant manager. Our community is growing. We need 2 people in that field. The second one may end up to be a part-time. It may end up to be a full-time, but split with the services that they give our community. But we do need 2 people in that field. I mean, we've all known for a long time it takes 2 people to do what Ken does. So that's how simple it is right there. The recruiting end of it, we need some people out there, and working with recruiters, we're going to have phone calls with them initially, and that's going to happen this week. And those phone calls are going to set the ground rules, or the criteria, if you will, of what they're capable of finding, how they find them, and then we'll move on after that to making our decision on which one we're going to hire. At this point, our goal is to hire 2. And the reason our goal is to hire 2 is because we're only going to end up having to pay 1. Because you don't pay him until we get our man or woman, okay? The goal is to find 2 recruiting companies that recruit in different ways. And I don't want to go into all specifics, but all recruiting companies have a meat and potatoes part of their group, and then they have some special interests part of their group. We're trying to find, also, they have different ways of recruiting. Some of them have their own pools. They have a bunch of people in the United States that have given them their names already. They're looking for jobs. Other people go out to different companies and search out people that aren't happy in their positions or would like a change. So we feel that if we combine those 2, and they will work that way, they have different percentages that they demand for their pay. So if we find somebody and he stays with us for so long, there's also guarantees for that. Then they get a percentage of that particular annual salary for the first year only. That's it. And we're out. So that's where we are right now. And as we move forward, I will be emailing the board to let you know any kind of decisions we have made up to that point. If you get those emails, or if we have discussion and you'd like to have further clarification on how we're doing that and what we're doing, feel free to call me or Ken, and we'll discuss it. Right now, we're interviewing these companies. It's going to be Dennis, myself, and Ken. We're interviewing those companies, and we're hopefully, it might take a week to figure out who we're going to pin down. And then the conversations so far, they're very eager to find somebody quickly. They don't want to spend a lot of time on this either. But our position is a tough position, and so we're going to move forward with that. The advantage of using a recruiting company for us is that it's an objective firm. They're used to doing this. There are different profile tests they use to find people with certain personalities along with certain qualifications. The other advantage is that we're going to receive the people that they think are appropriate for us. It's very difficult in a private community for someone to call us or give us a resume and then we turn them down and they live here. I mean, we all think we know what this job entails. We all think we're good enough to do this job. At least some of us do. And this way, if someone from the community would like to be a part of this, they'll know the recruiters that are involved and they can go through that recruiting company. That's it. That's my announcement on that. If anybody has anything right now to discuss concerning that, if not, we'll move forward with our direction. Okay? Ken, fishing tournament.
All right, this was presented to me last Thursday, so I just went ahead and dropped it on the agenda. This is 2024 Heritage Lake Fishing Tournament. This year it's going to be ran by Charlie and Tyler Land. Comparing to last year that got approved, it's the same amount of tournaments. They did shy away from the holidays this year. The only thing that was added was a July 27th tournament for the kids on the day of the Feast and Ski and Fun event. And I believe they're going to parade the kids in the boats. So for the sake of their first tournament, March 16th, which will be before our next board meeting, I went ahead and put together the whole schedule for you guys to review, and if you'd like to approve it. Like I said, it's the same amount of schedule, the same amount of tournaments as last year.
What's it, the Heritage Lake Classic, is that a new is that new, or is that,
No, they've had it before.
how does that differ from the other ones?
It's a 2-day tournament instead of one.
Oh, okay.
It's more expensive, bigger prizes.
And I want to say it's the last one of the year.
Bigger fish. Yeah, it looks like,
Yes.
it looks like it's the last one.
Yep.
It's the Super Bowl of fishing. I think that's, I mean, I don't fish, but I think they're pretty
Yeah,
excited. They're very excited about it.
Looking back on their scheduling, they've had it before. The only thing that's different is, or added, is the kids tournament. Last year they had a couple kids tournament. We were going to add. They wanted to add this one for a little bit more excitement for the Feast and Ski.
I move we approve the fishing tournament as
Make a
posted.
motion.
Make a motion to approve as posted on this nice sheet we have here.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you. I'll pass the word.
All right, now we move on to open forum. Please stand, tell us your lot number and your name for any questions or statements.
Yes.
Donna McGinley, 238 Mill Springs. It's kind of prophetic that Ken talked about, or Paul talked about hiring a new manager, because I just wanted to thank Ken Roselle once again. He's a hero of mine. I was walking my puppy at the marina, and I stumbled into him laying asphalt and filling the holes on the road leading to the marina. And I just stopped and I said, "Don't you have somebody else to do that?" But thank you, Ken. You go above and beyond every which way. Every time I see you, you're doing something unusual and out of the scope, I'm sure, of normal job requirements. So
I said today in the interview that, you know, my philosophy is you do whatever needs to be done.
well, you certainly do. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Donna.
I don't want to give anybody the impression that Ken's leaving tomorrow. Ken's going to be around for a while, and, you know, a long time ago, Ken and I, obviously, we talk a lot, and most of the time, it's over breakfast. But one thing he told me a long, long time ago, he never leaves anything undone. And that's something that's admirable along with the work he's done, and it's gonna take a while to fill this position, and we don't care how long it takes, but we're gonna do our best to find somebody that's
Hopefully my health
worth
will
his
stay
salt.
good and I can still help.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Phil?
Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. Ken, you're also welcome on our cul-de-sac to bring your pothole filter. Have we thought at all about, or do we think it's necessary to think about any potential traffic issues come the day of the eclipse? You've probably all read the kinds of things from other cities and towns and communities that have had such events happen in their area, and they say the traffic and gridlock is just unbelievable. And I don't know if people would come to Heritage Lake, but it's a wide open spot and it's a possibility. So I just wondered if it's something we need to think about at all.
You know, my own feeling about that, and I've been thinking about this from the time I started reading, which was about 3 months ago about all this stuff, but we're not gonna have anything publicized that we're doing. Now, SAMS may have something, and it's probably gonna be a neighborhood last minute type thing. And maybe it'll be soon that he's gonna announce something, but he's talking about having something outside, maybe a picnic or something like that. Other than that, I would think the only way we're gonna get an influx of a bunch of traffic is if we had something scheduled and people found out about it. Hey, let's go to Heritage Lake. But, there's something going on in Putnam County at the fairgrounds. There's something going on in Hendricks County. There's, the schools are closed, so the schools are gonna probably do stuff in their parking lots. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't think there's any expectation, I guess is what
I personally, Phil, I don't think that you're gonna see anything any more around here than the 4th of July. I think what you're gonna see, any heavy traffic or any gridlock is gonna be 231 or 36, 40, the highways, interstates. But I don't think you're gonna see anything that's gonna gridlock us in. I'm not sure that I would be leaving our community, or you liable to get stuck somewhere. But I think I'm gonna stay
Might
home
be a
and just
good place
watch
to
it
be.
from home. Yeah.
I think we should feel blessed that we're part of a private community.
Yeah.
Because I think that will curtail the amount of potential traffic.
And I did hear on the weather this morning, they said that in the last 10 years, there was only one really clear day on that date.
Yeah, it's high risk.
That's not funny.
Dwayne Kelly, 282, Patriots Landing, just along that line. The Greencastle City Park is renting parking places for that day. You can rent a parking place to park. The first spot was sold 2 weeks ago to some people from Colorado.
Isn't that something?
Never thought of people coming out of state.
All right.
I'm staying home. I
Anybody
may
else?
direct traffic at the marina, but that's about all I do.
No one else? I'll take a motion.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? No executive meeting tonight?